My name is Jeffrey Allen Ward. I'm the General Manager of the Membertou Heritage Park. As the General Manager, I oversee the building of the Membertou Heritage Park. Now, it's more than just a park. It's a mini museum. It's a cultural center. It's a place of ceremony. It's an educational and workshop area. It's where history is shared. It's a very vital, the heartbeat of culture. And we have a beautiful gift shop too as well. So it's an artistic hub. So there's many aspects. It's a meeting place. So there's many aspects that the Membertou Heritage Park offers. It's a 5-acre site, as you see. We have this beautiful building, and we have a laydown area or a park area where not only is it just great to learn, because we have statues out there, but also it's a great area for ceremonies, even wedding ceremonies too. When people get married here, but we also have a sweat lodge here. That's our ceremonious. So we do many different types of ceremonies here, mini powwows, gatherings. So it's a hub of cultural and experiential tours. So when it comes to tourism, we see tourism as an opportunity to educate. We are able to teach the history of our people and tell the story of Old Kings Road Reserve, how the Exchequer Court had a case of our community and had it moved. See, 99% of the time of all First Nation communities have been moved or have been moved from one location to another in all of Turtle Island. So we tell that story. Ours is unique because the Exchequer Court had a court case to have us removed. So we tell that story. And these 5 pods, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pods tell the story of Membertou. These are the first 5 stories our elders want to be told first about the community, about residential schools, what we've done in our community, our culture, our history, and of course, leadership. So these are the stories that our elders wanted told first. And these are living documents. Some of these displays have changed twice, 3 times, because they've either added names, or when people come through it, they add to it. Our elders' knowledge is added in to the fabrics. And so our history is not forgotten. It's added to the stories that we tell here, to the biggest basket in Canada, which is located right here too. The biggest basket in Canada is right here. Yeah, we have it here. So it's this type of, and where you could actually touch and feel and see and smell a birch bark canoe. Because we want you to learn. It's about your senses. It's all about the physical building, the physical ancestors, the physicalness of the mental, the history, the emotional. We tell them stories. Residential schools, we tell the stories of our history. To resilience of our community. When you see Membertou now and where we are today, we're business leaders in the world today. We have ISO 9001, so we can do business anywhere in the world. We have that certification to the spirit. We feel that spirit. We smudge almost every day. Ceremonies are being done here many times. We have justice circles, talking circles, many things that are happening today. Mind you, that's not in the menu of things that we sell because it's sacred. So there's a balance of sacredness and a balance of what we offer the public. And we allow them to meet in a beautiful place known as the Membertou Heritage Park.
On your webpage, it says that the main objective of Heritage Park is to offer a living history of the people of Membertou. How is this accomplished?
We do not reenact, we enact. So when you go to the Fortress of Louisbourg, which is the biggest fortress in North America, located just 20 minutes that way to us, and we're on the other side of Cabot Trail, so we're in the middle. We want you to come stay here. And come visit us while you're doing the other things too as well. But when you go to Louisbourg, that's reenactment. They put on time costumes, and you could put one on, you could shoot a cannon, and do all kinds of great stuff. Here you enact. When you see me in my regalia, today I'm wearing a ribbon shirt, but most days, some days, I'm wearing my full regalia. Now, regalia is so important. And we say regalia, and I teach that to the public. And I get them to say 2, 3, 4 times. Say it loud and proud. 1, 2, 3. We chant it out, regalia, regalia, regalia. I say, great, because it's not a costume. Costumes are for Halloween. Regalia is something that I earned over the years. I've built upon. It tells the story of who I am. Each piece has a true meaning. From the turtle I wear, from the turtle clan that was given to me, to the minks that are on the side, or the martins that talk us the story about Glooskap's brother, his brother Martin, who was a martin. I wonder if he called him Martin. I wasn't there. But to the harness, beaded harness, was worn by an elder, Gordon Julian, who was one of the very first powwow dancers in Atlantic Canada, and it was gifted to me. And I found out later he's in my lineage, he's family. So I wear that with pride and honor. To my leggings, which my father had made for me when I graduated from high school. So you take each piece to my loincloth, which made with the same material my wife's regalia was made. So the day we got married, we wore our regalias. We had that traditional ceremony. So every piece tells a story.
I love that.
And that's important.
Absolutely.
And that's important. And that's what we do here. We want to share our stories of our ancestors, of trials and tribulations that we've gone through in time, and to show that resilience of our people, and share the history in a good way. We talk about allyships, and we talk about the things that happened to us that were not so well. And we do it in a good way.
Very well said. The transition from that, and you talk about Heritage Park, the business model. What exactly is the business model of Heritage Park?
I think the business model is based on the medicine wheel. It's in 4 directions. We talk about the east, south, west, north, but we talk about the elements. And when you walk in here, if you notice the first 4 panels, it was the 4 seasons, which is beautiful work that was done by the late Doze Christmas, which is Dan Christmas, our first Mi'kmaq senator, who's from Membertou. His wife she's the one who designed that. And to share that, her artwork with the 4 seasons, it's like the 4 directions. And that's our business model here. It's almost like our building is in 4 directions too, because we have the business part, where you come in the gift shop, and you leave through the gift shop. So we make sure you buy something, take something, and monetary, if you're buying a workshop, we'll take care of the money, that area. But then there's the educational part, the mental part, where we want to share with you our history. We want you to see the biggest basket. We want you to see the history, learn about our people. We have Donald Marshall Jr.'s eel nets are here. To us, that's a holy grail of evidence. They're located right here. That changed the world for our people. When that court case made it to the Supreme Court, that and Sparrow, and they recognized our treaty, it changed our everyday lives. So these are the teachings that we have here. So we have that educational piece, the emotional piece, when you smelled that sage, when you felt it, when you walked in, you felt it too, and you're like, oh, that's so, and that's what we do. So it's a very spiritual and very emotional. Also too, to tell the stories. And when you hear the stories about residential schools, that you feel that in your heart, And then, of course, the last but not least, and sometimes it's either the first or the last, is the spirit, your spiritual part. And you're connected back to your ancestors, or you're connected to our people, or even your ancestors were allies, and you did not know it until you hear the stories. So, because there's many, many amazing stories, and there's so many teachings here in many directions. So, and it's a very visual place. You get to see, you get to read. It's very touch the canoe. Touch the drum, see all the things. We want you. You'll hear it. You'll hear that drum. You'll hear the songs. You'll hear the chants. And you'll smell the sage. And some days, on good days, and maybe later today, because I know food's coming in, there will be food here. And what we have, like loose Ginnigan. Loose Ginnigan is amazing. What we call loose Ginnigan, people know it as fry bread or bannock. Big word out there is bannock. Our Mi'kmaq word is loose Ginnigan. A loose Ginnigan is also, that's your loose Ginnigan right there. But when you make that, what are you doing? You're putting your elbows. A lot of elbow work when you're making bread. My bread makers know this. So that's loose Ginnigan.
How's the Heritage Park managed, and how are decisions made from day to day? Is that you? Is it someone
Yes,
else?
it's when you talk about the business and the managed side, it's like I said, we have ISO 9001. So we have our objectives, we have our risks, we have our non-conformances, we have our process improvements, we have our approved suppliers list, we have our HR manuals, we have manuals on and procedures on everything in this building. So it's very important that we follow them. And as the management side, in order to attain and to keep, because we had it from 12 years ago, from the days we opened, that even that first year, I believe we were audited in ISO, International Standards of Organization. So that level is one of the highest levels internationally around the world. So Global SI, who's, I think a company maybe just been purchased, but it allowed, they come in and do like a forensic audit on everything, procedures. So basically what that boils down to, we say what we do what we do, and we prove it. So our objectives are on the walls, our mission statements, our vision statements. On our walls, we follow the procedures. We have, our JOSH committees, our safety. There's so many levels. It's like an onion. And just like an onion, when you cut it, you're going to cry because there's so much paperwork to it. But we love it, though. So so we have a board of directors because we're non-for-profit. The Membertou Heritage Park is not-for-profit, and we have our status. But in saying that, we are owned by Membertou. So our board of directors is our chief and council. I report to the executive director, who reports to chief and council. However, on side of that, we have an elders advisory committee. So I have about 25 bosses.
Oh, do you find that challenging?
I find it supportive.
Okay.
So, and it's good. If you're not used to that, though, it would be challenging. In the beginning, it kind of threw me back, but being a former director of operations and a former band manager of another community, I was always used to multiple bosses. Because when you have chief and council, so that would be your bosses. Ultimately it's the chief and your council, but sometimes it's chief and council, depending on the landscape of the land and where you're at. Here I find it is chief and council because they work together. They're very united in what they do. And so my monthly report, or every 2 weeks I report, we have a director's meeting, which I update all the things that we've been doing the last 2 weeks. I report that to our executive director. That goes to our chief and council. And if there's, that kind of goes back and forth in regards to that. So that's important to know that. So that's when you look at the governance. And and being a non-for-profit and having a board of directors, which is our chief and council, which makes it very easy.
How long has this been open for? Sorry?
12 years.
12 years. What do you see the opportunities for Heritage Park moving in the near future?
Oh, there's so many levels and phases. I believe this is only phase 1 and 2 that have been completed. I believe there's 2 more, if not many more, because there's an amphitheater we wanted to have. We're in the plans of extensions. I spoke with the chief lately, and an extension to the building.
Of this building?
Of this building, yes. I find a lot of our buildings, if you've noticed here in Membertou, if you have come to Membertou, our business model is studied around the world. So us being not-for-profit, but there's a whole corporate identity with numerous businesses, from Clearwater to our very own fisheries to our own insurance, Hampton, Trade and Convention Center, business parks, a lot of business parks, a lot of properties. So we have a whole bit, but then also we have a governance side too. So the governance, the education, the health department, and we're getting a new health center too. So there's numerous levels, economic development, social, education, all these. So we have that, and you kind of have me in the middle as not-for-profit. So I get to see the big rich brothers on each side of me. But the beauty of it, the strength that we have is our culture and our history and the pride in our history and who we are. And that's the story that we tell. So I think that's so important. And what I see is an extension onto this building, a bigger area, but also other areas. So for example, we've taken an experience such as the Medicine Walk, which started here, but we've took it and we've placed it next door. And next door at the Trade and Convention Center, which is very business, you have a Medicine Walk experience, but it's in the VIC, the Visitors Information Center. So we've developed products and we put it over there, as well as many others we've done with crafters, and we'll bring people in. A lot of times they'll start here, and maybe they'll go to 55 plus, or to the school, or we'll share. So we're always working together. So it's a very interesting business model in regards to that. And like our business, like we're building large buildings, not just business parks, but buildings, multi-levels, and they're being sold out before we even open the door.
You mentioned the cruise ship industry and how important it is to your business. How are you working with these groups of people coming in? I know you answered it briefly there,
Yep.
but in specific, tourists that are coming in on these cruise ships, what are you doing with these people?
When they come here, we educate, we teach, we share. So we offer a package, but it's the company who owns that package, and they sell it on their cruise ship, which in returns get on their bus, and the buses bring them here. So we don't own any big buses. We do have this little bus, but there's a whole licensing issue that they have to, but we don't own it. We're not-for-profit, so that's a good corporate question. We offer a package for them to come in to see us, and it's a very nice educational, what they say, spirit of the census, where they come and and a good day, we'll be outside and on the lawn. It's a nice area. We'll even get a sound system up just so that everybody could hear. I'll share songs, I'll tell a legend, I'll tell stories, and tell our history. And it's very educational. And then allow them to come in and to experience the Luskinnigan with tea and coffee, or sometimes we'll have, other teas or other traditional teas. And they'll come into a nice air-conditioned, because sometimes it's very hot out there.
It's a great temperature in here.
Yeah, so it's always air-conditioned in here. In winter it's warm, and in the summer it's air-conditioned. So and they come into our little mini theater, come into our mini museum, and they get to learn and see a lot of great things and buy some things on the way out. And we designed it so you get dropped off at one end, and you got to go through the gift shop to get back in your bus. So if anything we learned from Disney, we learned that. And Universal.
What are some of the challenges in managing a cultural site such as the Heritage Park?
One of the biggest challenges is to make sure that ceremonies are sacred. We do not sell ceremonies. Ceremonies are not for sale, so we keep them sacred. And that's important. We don't say, we're going to smudge you for $5. No. Not every day the smudge comes out. We smudge the building. If somebody's earned it, or they've learned and they want to know more, and they ask in a sincere way, by all means, we will share, we will teach. But we keep it sacred, because many times, we've read it online or read it, or people even come right up to us and say, stop selling ceremonies. And we've never have. So if you're in that, so there is a fine line that people got to watch. And there's a sacredness to ceremonies, because we do not pay to pray. They're free. You do not pay to pray. We have educational workshops. And not every time our feathers come out. Not every time my regalia comes out. Not every time our medicines come out. Because we have to protect them. But once they've earned it. See, now we go back to the values of love, humility, courage, respect, truth, wisdom, honesty. Once those are displayed in any form, then we begin to share, and then it becomes more of sharing. That's the challenge. The other challenge is, some packages, for example, I shouldn't mention any company names, but they say, let's just make up a name. This company, I don't know, Bus Company 1 and Cruise Ship 2. They have the people, but they control the ads on there. And if we sell them ads, or we give them ads, it's up to them to use it. But it's up to them to sell it. So we don't have control of what they're selling on their boats. So when they get here, onto the bus, we got to rely on their history and their tour guides to tell our story. And we don't know if they're telling our story or how they're telling our story, because we don't go on cruise ships to come back to my center, which is actually a great idea. I try to bring solutions before I bring a problem. Or if I have a problem, I'll bring 3 solutions and I'll say, Chief or Executive Director or my boss, I say, hey, here's what's going on, but here's 3 solutions. What do you think? That's very important. Or maybe they have a solution, because they've been in the business for a very long time. And our business model is studied around the world. So this is 20 years versus only 12 years that we've been here. So we rely, but we work together. And I think sometimes, though, another challenge is that we, as the little tiny heritage park, one, weather. We went through tornadoes. We went through wind. We went through the biggest snowstorm in history in 100 years. A lot of that takes a beating on our building. So that hurricane blew the paint right off my building. So, and it happened, another hurricane that just went through, so that, little things like that happen. So when that happens, it affects the outside of my building, and it feels like my building doesn't get attention as the other big buildings or the gaming center, which is understandable, but at the same time, we feel like we're the little guy in the corner who we're always forgotten about, or the youngest child, get all the hand-me-downs. And the other thing is, being not-for-profit, I want to get to 0 every single year. And I have. I've got to 0 many times, and I've actually made profits many, many years. But to get to that level every single year, that's a challenge. So we create a lot of partnerships. But sometimes our partnerships aren't there. So we're constantly looking, we're constantly grabbing, we're constantly doing this and anything. We're the executive producers of a video called What a Wonderful World. It's about systemic racism. So we received, I won't say how much, tons of money from an organization, a federal one, which was amazing. I think Heritage Canada, thank you. And the province usually gives us 10 grand or 5 grand and stuff. So that's beautiful when we partner up with organizations like that. National Indigenous Brotherhood was there for us. Creation Canada. These are many organizations that funded many programs. But the other challenge is, if I don't write or I don't make those connections or shake the hands, we don't get the funding. So that's the challenge. You need somebody in the role that's always writing, that are always looking, or always talking to somebody to make sure that we can run different programs at all times.
How do you protect the cultural integrity of what you are offering? How do you determine what will or what will not be delivered or sold?
I grew up in ceremony, but not only in ceremony, but going to powwows. Because people have got to understand that there's other levels to that too. It's not just powwow family. It's your cultural family. But also I grew up with great artists too, basket makers. people that, I grew up in sheds, wood sheds. I watched the elders make baskets all my life. I've played in them. And so when you grow up and you learn all of this and you see that, so you go through the ceremonial part, you'll see the crafts, the economically part, and the powwow, the coming together, and then with the management, my background in management as a former band manager, director of operations, and now being a manager, it's kind of like that perfect blend of knowing. So it's through my experiences have given me an opportunity to say, I could sell this, I could sell that. This is not for sale, it's sacred. So I have to gauge that and to know the difference between sacredness and e-commerce or wholesaling. And the other thing too, I'm glad I said wholesaling, because wholesaling is a concept that some of our crafters are unaware of. So you got to be very respectful for when you talk about crafts in regards to what is wholesaling. Some know wholesaling and can offer you a great price, and some are unaware of wholesaling. And so you respect the artist and what they want. So the artist wants a certain price, you have to honor that price, and you have to adjust. Or you teach them, say, well, look, if you're selling this for $10 on your own website, I can't buy it from you for $10 and sell it at my gift shop for $10. And you got to say, well, look, I have a shop, I'm paying insurance, I'm paying employees, I have to up it $20. So if I buy it for 10, I can sell it for 20. Or, there's a whole other industries that are out there too, like Walmart and the big box stores. I got to be competitive. Right now, one of our biggest partners, I guess, would be Heritage Canada in a project, as well as, of course, Membertou itself, Membertou Governance, Membertou Chief and Council, Membertou Corporate Division is a big partner. Geomatics, Membertou Geomatics, who, like a lot of these, they will buy $5,000 worth of gifts for their projects for when they're doing projects like this, when they're interviewing elders. So they'll come to us and they'll buy all their products here. So when Geomatics does that, that's amazing. That helps us, which is truly amazing. Same with Membertou Corporate, our Chief and Council, when they meet delegates. True story, one of the baskets that we sold went to the Pope. Yeah, and then he apologized. So I'm hoping that was why he apologized. He apologized for the residential school. And recognized, and that was important. But during that time, that's the thing. We never know. That's why some of our products end up in amazing hands. And are part of amazing events. So I think that is so important. So we work with Assembly First Nations, governments. Nova Scotia, the province of Nova Scotia is a big partner as well. Micmac Child and Family Services are local. There's a lot of great partnerships that are here and that we all work together.
How do you find these SOARs?
The SWAT and the SOAR are two models that are doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, with a SOAR, it's more positive versus a SWAT, it talks about weaknesses. And I don't think our businesses really should have weaknesses versus opportunities. So opportunities versus weaknesses are two different things. So, but with our strengths, we do have a lot of great strengths in our ability, in what we have. But we do have weaknesses. There are things that are happening that, for example, if I am to leave today, they've lost a great, a pillar of not only management, but spirituality, a lodge keeper. They've lost, and that's one of their weaknesses in regards to that. Now, it will still operate, it will still continue, but they'd have to have somebody to develop, somebody to, at that level, or to bring them back part-time. I don't know. So that would be a weakness. I guess one of the weaknesses too, sometimes our building is not big enough. It should be bigger. It should be twice the size, maybe 3 times the size, because I find, and that's what's happened to a lot of our buildings, we've already outgrown them. Now, it's fortunately, like for example, our convention center could be bigger, but if our convention center gets bigger to host more, we need more hotels. So that's the other aspect of it. We need more hotels. So it's hand in hand. It's like a chain. We talk about the covenant chain of treaties. Well, there's a covenant chain of tourism that we all got to look at. It's not just an experience, but it's, can your community handle it?
Is there anything that you think students should know about managing an Indigenous business?
Know your community. Know your creation story. And I mean the creation story of our people, the creation story of your people, the creation story of your family. Because then you're able to talk, be authentic, talk from your heart at all times. I am not just it's not about selling, it's about educating. My goal each day when I come in here is, Creator, how can I serve you? Creator, help me teach and educate people in a good way. That, to me, is where it is so important. When you're in tourism, it's not just you're in tourism and you're serving people, you're educating people. You're educating little children. You're educating families, and you're telling them the story of our people. So it's so important. You're becoming the bridge. You're becoming a conduit into the future. Because if we don't learn our history, you're deemed to repeat it. What I see as the Heritage Park future is a bigger building, multi-levels, with more offices, more workshop area. I see a bigger area. I see an amphitheater. I see a more cultural area. I like to see the powwow grounds, or like the spring powwow ground and the fall powwow ground, and maybe a winter powwows all be hosted here in this building. I like to see more. I like to see our artifacts that are at the Vatican come home here. As well as, we don't call them artifacts, we call them ancestors. We want more of our ancestors to come home. So we need a bigger building and to add to many different levels to have that, and just to have more departments and more full-time employees. You know, we're only running it with 2 full-time employees, and everybody's part-time on call.
Ego igande ha ego guandu dana he. Hey, ego, he got